everybody. My name. Oh, that's a good sign. Recording in progress. My name is Megan O'Rourke. I am on the conference committee, and I'm with the Division of Continuing Studies. And I personally have been looking forward to their presentation since it came in as one of the proposals. I work as a system admin, and maybe like a lot of you, our jobs are moving from clicked not code to low code. So definitely impacts my life and probably a lot of you all too. So today we have Jeanne Hains and Joel Herron from our low code solutions team at Do It. And I'm just going to turn it over to them since we lost a few minutes. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you. My name is Joel Herron. I am the team lead, technical team lead for Low Code Solutions. So all things integrations, just managing the development team, all that sort of things. That's all my kind of purview. And so I was going to get started right away since we did lose a couple minutes there. Let's see, make sure I know how to do this. Perfect. So basically what we do at Low Code Solutions is we provide a platform, a service so that people can either build themselves, which is primary goal is to get people building themselves, not make it, focused on us having to build things for you, but we can do that, and we'll get to that later. But the two platforms that we are currently using mostly is Betty Blocks and Quali. Quali is brand new, and I will talk about it soon. It's not quite available yet, but we are getting there. Betty Blocks is a low-code solution that comes out of the Netherlands. We've had it for almost, this is our second year of using it. We have somewhere around, I think, 15 to 20 applications live, and we have about another 10 or so in process from us, and we have another like 6 or 7 in process for other skids, other areas out there using it. And we'll talk a little bit more about how we can unlock workflows using these two tools. So one of the major issues with workflows, as my laptop tries to turn itself off, is that workflows processes right now mostly are a lot of paper-based, a lot of PDFs, a lot of emailing things back and forth to people. And that's just not really efficient. Your data is, all over the place. When you try to get to approvals, you try to get to data from other sources, there just isn't a way to connect all the things and to make an easy, clean process from start to end of your process. And also, you're not really sure, like, where is it? If you send an email to somebody, well, how long has that email been out them for that approval been sitting there? How long has, this process been sitting there? When did it start? I don't even know when that is. And so part of what we're trying to accomplish is to kind of help solidify all out into one place to do it. And so basically, the way we're trying to help it is you can build things yourself, we can build them for you, is to be able to have the ability to say, I want to know when this thing started, and be able to do that. I want to have an approval button where I can just click, oh, this person approved it, and we looked it up. We know this person is actually the person that should approve it because we looked up your supervisor from HR data and said, this is what we did. And we can do those sorts of things. See, getting through, make sure I didn't leave anything out. And also when let's say you're using something like Google Docs or Qualtrics or anything, is like the issue we have there is that kind of just stuck there and you just get an Excel export, right? And that's all you're kind of left with. There's no extra ability to process that data. There's no extra ability to do anything else with it. Our platforms offer the ability to do a little bit more with it. So that's what we're trying to build and deliver. Let's see, make sure. The other big thing I have down there is notifications. There's no notifications systems built into these things. With our platforms, you can do that. You can get to being able to deliver notifications at the right time to the right person, depending on, an approval stack that happens. So they make sure the person who did approve it got notified that they got approved. The person who initially made the request, or maybe some other people need to be notified when something happens, build notification systems in. And that kind of leads me into my laptop turning off again. How do you get all that data in there? And so the issues with data access right now, obviously, is most of your data is probably your data you own, enterprise data. It's not in the platform you want to use it in. You can't bring that into Google Docs. You're not going to be able to bring that into Qualtrics. You're not going to bring it into other systems. And if you can bring it in, usually it's copy and pasting it from another source. Then you have to go back and figure out how to update that file, do that sort of thing like that. And then you get into issues. Well, I need to move sensitive, restricted data. That's kind of sketchy. You know, where are we moving that data to? Data governance doesn't like that. Cybersecurity definitely doesn't like that. You know, what are we doing with that data? How can we properly make sure that if we do need to use enterprise data, we're using it effectively? And so one thing we offer is deep integrations with a lot of these enterprise APIs. So PersonAPI, HR API, FinanceAPI. We can do integrations with SIS. We can do integrations with Workday. And our platform, we have a middleware layer that we've built out that is gone through cybersecurity review, gone through data governance. We can deliver those types of integrations for you. We can even build new ones if you're not sure what you need. If you have data that's not in one of these systems somewhere else, we can also help build those integrations and provide your data that you want into the applications. Either you build, we build for you, those types of things. And we also are HIPAA and FERPA compliant as well across both of our platforms. Moving forwards, let's see, time. Moving fast, talking fast. Okay. I do want to note something about Quali. So Quali is brand new, and this is our no-code platform. So it's not low-code. Betty Blocks is more of a low-code platform. So it's more of like, it's still drag and drop, but it's more of like for us technology people, it's more of like a model view controller type of system where, you know, I'm building my database. It has relationships. I'm getting into my controller and I can kind of just do however I want with whatever kind of data I need. And if I need something very custom, you can write custom code that can then be brought into that controller to then do what you need it to do. And then on the view side, it's pretty much, I can do whatever I want, make whatever web page, web application I want, and it kind of works. Quali is much different. Quali is therefore to eliminate us, the IT folk, from the picture for most of the building process. So it still is to build a very, very simple drop and drag form builder. So if you need to capture data and then do some approvals, do some sort of basic thing with it, that's the goal of this. So really enabling your your department assistants, your BAs, your those type of level of tech, somebody who has just a little bit of technology savvy, but they're not gonna be able to write some code. They're not gonna be able to know how to properly develop a proper database schema, those types of things. They can be able to, in a couple hours, get into the system, build out a form, build out a workflow, and get data in and out of this without too much work. And that's kind of the goal of this platform. We're currently in the middle of implementation. We're still building it out, but we're hoping that by sometime late Q3, this will be available to the public. So anyone can use it. This is a free service from Do It. So we're not charging for it because it's essentially funded. So we are looking to do that. And let's see, anything else I'm missing, Jeanne, on that? No? Okay. I am talking very fast. I'm sorry. But I'm also holding you between lunch, so I know that that's an important thing. All right. What's the difference between the two? And I was kind of alluding to that. Is Betty Blocks is all about custom web applications. Building what you need the way you want to build it with the tools that it has available to it. Data relationships. There is no data relationship in Quali. Whatever fields you have in your form, that's what's sitting in the database. There's no extra adding fields here, adding fields there. Whereas Betty Blocks, you can build as many models as you want in your application. You can connect them as many, many to many and many to one and all the other typical kinds of relationships you might want to. Betty Blocks has the ability to use JavaScript, although actually we should be getting an upgrade. You should be able to use Rust, Python, and JavaScript, maybe even C# soon, into as code. And then also custom components. So you can make your own. If you don't like their built-in UI component, you can go build your own and you can bring it in and then drop it on the page and make it work. So there's a lot more customizability available in Betty Blocks than one Quali. But Quali is really good at I need some data entry. I want to get an approval from somebody, or maybe a step of approvals, or a set of approvals, some tasks somebody needs to do, and then I just want to be done with it, because that's my process. And it's really easy to do basic approval, your basic approval steps, your approve, deny, pushbacks. Those are all really easily capable, and notifications are fully built in. It also has fully built in reporting, like basic reporting. Like, I just want to be able to see a page that says like how many forms are in process, how many forms are at this step, how many forms at this step, and it has a nice built-in easy dashboard for you, just that does it automatically, so you don't have to build that extra. Think what else? One of the things that we kind of want to touch on between the two is that we are still going to I'm not saying gatekeep, but we are not going to just open quality up to just anybody to be able to do it. You're still going to have to come through our normal process of, I have an idea for an app, because not every app idea or process idea is going to work in quality. Sometimes it's not even going to work in Betty blocks. And so our process for both these platforms is to kind of make sure that if you do have an idea and you want to build it, we're going to try to figure out what the best solution is for you, whether or not it's in quality, whether or not it's in Betty blocks, or maybe some other system we haven't even thought of, or our service doesn't own. So that's still kind of our guiding principle on how we do things at low code. And I'm going to turn it over to Jeanne to talk about other things we can do for you.
Right. To bring this down a little bit. I'm Jeanne Hains. I'm the low code solutions service lead. So he does everything technical, and I say I'm the people and process person. So that's where I fit in. And so what can low code solutions team do for you? So as Joel was alluding to, you are going to be able to build applications on both of these platforms. So along with this, we make sure that both platforms allow for SSO and for multiple roles. So if you have, people that can only view what's going on versus those that can enter versus those that sort of oversee, you can set up different roles, and then all of them will need like NetID or something like that to get into those into those roles, and they'll see the various fields or pages depending on their roles. So that's for both platforms, and we can help you set that up. We've got a lot of KBs and articles like that. Both platforms also allow custom branding and notification content, so you can pull in, hi, so-and-so, whoever the person was that actually submitted it, and whatever information that they filled out. So it's not just a generic email that goes to them. You can actually bring things in. So both platforms allow you to do that. And once again, we've got training and knowledge base articles to help you teach that, to learn that. And as well as Joel mentioned, but that middleware layer is going to be available to both. So if you need to grab something from the PersonAPI or from HRAPI or some other type of list, that'll be available in both, and our team will help you get access to that and show you how to set that up. And how we do that is we've got training courses, we've got knowledge base, as I mentioned. We also have established office hours. Now, right now, the office hours are for Betty blocks, but I foresee something similar with Koali, probably 2 different teams, because we may have different audiences for that, but open office hours where as you're building your applications and have questions, you can obviously drop in. We do have also a community of practice for Betty blocks. We don't know if we're going to combine those with the Koali and Betty blocks or have 2 different ones, but once again, having people demonstrate what they've built, tools that they've used, that type of thing, just as a knowledge sharing, once again, amongst the community of users. And then we also have our website with our support page, and we do have a support email. So you don't have to wait for office hours, et cetera, in order to get your questions answered. We also do create applications for teams without their own IT. We're hoping Koali will help that diminish that amount, that people will actually be able to, non-IT folks will be able to create their own applications using Koali. But those that are more complicated and really need to be in Betty blocks, we do offer that service in building your application. We go through the whole requirements. We've got developers who actually put it together, and the teams do need to help test it and support it, once it goes live, but we do offer that service as well. And as Joel alluded, we do have on our website, if you have an idea, we have a form, and you sort of fill out that form, and we figure out, is it a good fit? We'll have to see, is it a good fit for Koali versus Betty blocks? But right now, we do assess whether or not it's a good fit for Betty blocks. We meet with the people and add that to our backlog if we need to actually build it. And finally, Joel had mentioned this as well, but we will build custom and standard integrations for your data, for both your specific data. So we've had stuff that needed data from AssetWorks, so it's not, in PersonAPI or HR API, excuse me, the HR API, but it is from AssetWorks, which is the what facilities uses for all of their work orders and all of their projects. So we've had some where we need to pull some of their data, so we aren't duplicating that data. So that's an example of a custom integration that we've built. So that's what our team does. And I think the next one is just questions, and thank you.
So if folks have any questions, have you used the microphone?
Is there one online?
Thanks for the presentation. So what are the limitations to Betty blocks? Because we do have, like, my own team is an application development team. We're always like, should we be using Betty blocks? So what are like the good cases to use it for versus, going the full custom route?
Yeah, I guess the horrible answer is it depends. But the way that I like to look at it is, if you have a very defined way that you want to do it. So in case of maybe you don't need, what is a good way to put it, is Betty blocks is really good at building form. I need some input, or I need somebody to do a process, and I'm going to walk you step by step through that process of doing that thing. It's really good at doing that, and we can build those pretty quickly. Once you get a lot more complex, where you need a lot more, like, I'll say, once it gets to a certain level of complexity in the database, and you need a lot of like many-to-many relationships, and you need a lot of how do I say it, like different types of logic that isn't quite as simple as I need to loop through these and then do something, and it starts to get branched too heavy where the logic starts to get branched, then it starts to not necessarily be a great fit. But again, it depends, because sometimes we have some pretty complex stuff in there that you would see it and you go, I can't believe that was built in a low code platform. actually, I'll call them. I know they're not here, but the folks at LNS. Oh,
Eddie's here.
oh, Eddie's here. Eddie's here. I'm sorry, Eddie, I didn't see you. But the folks at LNS have built on their own, not something we've built. They've built some pretty complex apps in Betty Blocks that I honestly didn't think they would be able to accomplish. So just based on the complexity and the amount of just pure, I would say, things that they're doing inside the app. So it is pretty powerful. And actually, I think it's only getting more powerful as they allow us to get into more custom back-end development. It's pretty limited right now, but I think by the end of the summer, they should have something rolled out that you'll be able to plug in your higher end code directly into it and then write stuff that you probably couldn't write otherwise. So I think that has a lot of capabilities there too. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Other questions?
Hi. I work in communications, and so I'm trying to get a sense of who this is for a little more clearly. How dumb can you be and still use this? Put another way, if there's a process that currently is built on Google Sheets and some formulas, and maybe you've tried vibe coding a little bit to come up with something better, should I look to low code for something that just kind of, why would I look to low code?
Yeah, so it probably could do it pretty well. Could you do it yourself? Betty Blocks does have what I will call a decent, and Eddie can attest to this, it has a pretty decent learning curve.
Decent good, decent bad?
Decent bad,
Okay.
of sorts. It's getting better, but there's just a lot of stuff that's thrown at you all at once because you have to build your own data model. You have to build your own controllers. You have to build your own UI. And so it's all the things that you do in normal application development, but it's drop and drag.
So it's more for developers who don't have time to do all that work and
I
know
would
what they're
say
talking about already?
I say you can even drop down a level. I would say it's somebody who's technology savvy.
Uh-huh.
Now that's the whole reason that we're trying to get, or we did buy Quali, is to fill that exact need.
Okay.
So I don't have any or I have limited technical ability. I don't know how to make a model. I just need to collect some data, do something with it, and then pass it off to something else. That's the perfect use case for Quali, in fact, I would say. Although if you need to do the calculations, you might not, that probably won't fit into Quali right now.
It's more like if-thens.
Oh, then potentially, yeah, you'd be fine.
Yeah. Okay. And would your office hours be a good chance to explore like specific use
Yeah, and
cases?
if you're yeah, definitely. You could always hop into office hours. We do have self-service training too. So if you were just like, I just want to play around with this thing and figure out if it's right for me, we can get you set up and you can just play around, follow the training and walk through it. So that's definitely a possibility as well.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Liam, and I'm working for the same lab of Python. So after just my may clarify that the koala that it does one is drag and then dropping, right? It does look like something similar like dynamic. In my understanding, it can something like dynamic of flowchart where you are do like normal the flowchart just like visualization, and this one is more like you see the interaction of the flowchart. Is that correct?
I would say Koali is like that. Betty Blocks is much more not like, is much more involved than that. But if that's what you're trying to get at, is just you have a flow chart through your process, and it's a pretty simple process, Quali would be probably a good fit for that type of thing.
So that is one you can work at the linear processing, not like the looping. That's one you mentioned before already.
Yeah, okay. That would be more of a Betty Blocks thing than a Quali thing. If you need to do looping, yeah, that's more of that sort of thing. But I mean, if it's something that you need help with, there's always the possibility that if you can, we also do the option of we build, you build. So if you need to build some stuff and we need to build some stuff, that's always a possibility too. If you have a roadblock that you can't get over because it's easier, but you want to be able to do that thing, we can also do. We're happy to work with you.
All right. I think we have time for one more question. if anyone has one.
Can you clarify for Koali, is it Q3 calendar year or Q3 UW fiscal?
Calendar.
Okay. So Q1 of
Yeah.
UW fiscal, okay.
Yeah. If you have ideas already, you can always send them through and we're happy to look them over.
I have ideas. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I already sent your QR code to 3 people in this presentation. So appreciate all that that you shared with us. I think it's time for lunch now. Thanks everybody for coming.